Here we are in the woods near the Carl Sandburg Historical Home, and I'm looking at these paths. There's a lot of them. Got this path, and over here, there's really two, and there's the home through the trees. Oh look, here's yet another path. And still one more. Can all of these paths be leading to the same place? Well, really, here in this park, all of these will ultimately go back to the house through a circuitous route. Is that the way it is with God? Hi, I'm Fred Von Kamaka with the Blue Ridge Bible Talks. Welcome to my backyard. You know, I've been hearing this all my Christian life, especially if you want to tell people Jesus is the only way. Well, you know, there's many ways. There are many paths. All of them ultimately lead to God. That's the way we hear it. And we have to admit, it has a ring of simplicity to it, and it's heartwarming. You see, you don't want to tell somebody they're wrong, teaching something false. No, that's not right. You see, the concept of God, it's so huge that every single religion, so they say, have a piece of it. Well, I'm interacting with a chapter out of this book, Busted: Exposing Popular Myths About Christianity. I wrote it back in the early 2000s, came out in 2009, and its chapters are just as relevant today as they have ever been. And this is the myth that I am busting. All religions basically teach the same thing. All paths lead to God. You know, it's like that Indian proverb. A group of blind men came upon an elephant. They'd never seen one before, they're blind. They've never encountered one. So they all go up to find out, okay, what is an elephant? And the one who got a hold of the tail, assuming he lived, is, okay, an elephant is a rope. And another one comes across the leg. Oh, an elephant is like a tree trunk. And then another one came across, oh, his ear. An elephant is like a big flapping blanket. Oh, the one on the tusk, it's a sword. And the one on the snout, it's a snake. On and on and on. And as the proverb goes, all of these blind men have a piece of the truth that really is far bigger than themselves. Again, heartwarming, and we can see why it has such an appeal, but there's some things that never quite come out, such as all of them were wrong. An elephant is far more than its tail or its tusk. It's like our last video, where my God is a God of love. He's that. Or no, he's a God of judgment. He's that. And both of them are wrong because you have to take in all of the facets to realize, oh, God encompasses a lot of realities. So what the blind men needed was someone who could see and look at the elephant and say, let me tell you what an elephant is. You see, that's what we have in the scriptures. We are indeed blind, and God is the one who comes to us and he reveals to us what he's like, what his truth is like, what his path is like. He's telling us. Did you know that all other religions are written from the perspective of people finding out who God is, what he's like, and reaching up to him? And so various paths of wisdom and religion and ritual and whatever, they're all going from the bottom up. Christianity is the one that has God reaching down, by the way, in fulfillment of ancient Judaism, because Judaism taught the same thing. Now, I'm going to talk about 3 specific religions today and compare them. I can't do them all. I can't even do all the big ones, all right? So we're going to deal with Buddhism, Hinduism, and compare them to Christianity. Are all 3 of these, not to mention the millions of others, are these 3 alone teaching the same thing? That's the question. So we start with, well, what is their conception of God? Well, if you talk about Buddhism, there are within Buddhism itself several different paths. The ancient and the most original Buddhism, it's called Hinayana Buddhism. It really came from Siddhartha, Gautama Siddhartha. He's the one who began Buddhism. He believed, he was disillusioned with his native Hinduism and said, no, that's not right. And he came to believe that here's what enlightenment is. You have to realize that everything is illusion. You see, God does not exist, and neither do you. Wow. So that is the conception of God. There is none. What about Hinduism? Well, there's really a variety of ways that Hinduism expresses itself. One way is to view the polytheism, meaning many gods. There are millions of gods that exist throughout, and all of them, well, really, they vie for your attention, and you must do sacrifices and offerings and whatever to those that you choose to really highlight, your favorite god, or gods, if you will. That's one way of Hinduism. Another is to realize that all of these many millions of gods, all of them are an expression of this eternal, impersonal force. God is an it, and it has always been here, and it is the same as all of creation, because once again, all of this is really illusion, because I am God. My wife standing here running the camera for me, she is God. The trees are God. The paths are God. Everything is God. Those darn pesky mosquitoes you want to slap, they're God too. Everything is God. That really is something known as pantheism. Talk about these terms in another day if you want. So, just alone on this idea, God doesn't exist. God is many, or really, God is simply one impersonal reality. Is that the same as Christianity? For Christianity, God is the creator who made all of this at a certain point in time. As a matter of fact, that was the creation of time and space. He made it all, but he is not a part of it. He made it, and he stands apart as creator to creation, and it is very real. Okay, this God, according to Christianity, at a certain point in time, came to this earth, took on human flesh, and became a man. Now, we're going to get into some deep weeds, talk about this another day, but in Christianity, there is a Trinity. The one God reveals himself in three persons, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and it is the Son who put on flesh and became a man, a human, just like us, so that he could die for us. And then he rose again in his physical, glorified body. Okay, let's take stock for a second. We're looking at God. The original Buddhism, there is no God. Can't even number him. Hinduism, there's billions of God, or the one impersonal, eternal reality that is everything that we see, because really, behind it all, the one reality. Or in Christianity, you have the Creator who existed for all eternity. Yes, he did. But then he made creation. Boom. And then came and walked upon it in the person of his Son, Jesus Christ. Okay, let's recap. You have in Buddhism, no God. In Hinduism, many gods, or the one impersonal reality, impersonal force. Or you have in Christianity the personal creator. He's eternal, but creation is not. Three distinct views of God, three ways of looking at this reality that cannot be reconciled. They cannot be right at the same time in the same way. You cannot say there is no God, many gods, one God, and all of those statements be true. Different paths, different realities. Now, let's look at the problem. All religions really have some sort of a problem that the structure of the religion is designed to solve. In ancient Hinayana Buddhism, the problem is, you see, is that you believe that you exist. Whoa, that's a problem. So you need to come to enlightenment and realize that you do not exist. Because if you don't realize it, you're going to die and you're going to be reincarnated and you'll come back as a duck or a cockroach or a millionaire or a YouTuber, who knows, until you finally get it right and you escape the wheel of reincarnation. Boom, now you hit nirvana. What is nirvana? Oh, that's the Buddhist way of saying heaven. No, it's not. Nirvana is like you're holding a candle and it's got a big flame and you blow the flame out. Where'd the flame go? Nirvana. Problem solved. You don't exist, you realize you don't exist, so you don't. Now let's compare that with Hinduism. Now Hinduism, the problem is, again, there's a illusion that you believe, but you're believing that all of this is different things like trees and people and whatever. It's all different. But no, that's not true. All of this is the expression of the one reality, the grand it of Hinduism. And once you realize that, you too can escape the wheel of reincarnation. It's the same sort of deal in Buddhism. As long as you get it wrong, you keep coming back, you get it right. And now here's what happens. You are absorbed into the one reality, like a drop of water into a huge ocean. Yeah, you still exist. You're still real, but now you're just an it. You're just part of the grand it. Now, there's two things that I haven't mentioned in Buddhism and Hinduism in terms of a problem, and that has to do with sin. If there's illusions all abound, if all is the same reality, there's no sin, there's no good, there's no right, there's no wrong. It all just is or isn't, depending if you're a Buddhist. What about Christianity? Well, Christianity says the problem is this. You, me, have chosen to follow the ways of our first parents and have rebelled against God. We have decided to go our own way. Evil is not a thing. Evil is not a creation. Evil is the relationship when someone says, I will not follow your way, God. I will follow my way. The Bible has a very simple definition of that. It's called sin. That's the problem. We are born in sin, and it's real. We're in a real world with a real problem, and the real God came down in the form of Jesus and lived among us and paid for our sins on the cross. That's Christianity. Now, whether or not you believe that's true, right now, that's not my point. My point is you can't say it's the same as Hinduism, or it's the same as Buddhism. All the religions have a certain commonality in terms of, be a good person, do right, that kind of stuff. Well, of course they do. But what it means to be good, what it means to do right, vastly different in these three religions. So we have these three contradictory concepts of who God is, what he's like. We have these three contradictory notions of what the problem is. The solution we've already talked about in Buddhism and Hinduism. It's believe you don't exist or believe you are God. Okay, problem solved. In Christianity, the solution is to place your faith in Jesus Christ as the only one who can save us. That is Christianity. And by the way, it is way different from any religion. There is no other religion that has God himself coming to earth, becoming a human like us, and paying for our salvation on a cross in history, in real time. No other religion even claims to do that. Christianity is alone in that regard. So, folks scream, there are many paths. Jesus says, I'm it. The Hindu says there's no such thing as sin. Jesus died on a cross because of it. The Hinayana Buddhist says there's no God. Jesus reveals God to us. They insist there's no soul. Jesus came to save souls. Three absolute distinct ways of looking at God, our problem, and the solution. Can these be reconciled? Do these paths lead to the same place? No, they do not. I hope you've enjoyed this short video. If you have, and you'd like more details about this subject and a few others, you can get a hold of your copy of Busted, Exposing Popular Myths About Christianity. I've provided a link in the description below. And as always, please hit like, subscribe, and share this with your friends, and share it with skeptics. And I'd love to hear your feedback about it. God bless you. Until next time.